Welcome, Dr. Stevan.
Good afternoon, everyone.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, Dr. Stevan. This
Good
is
morning.
the principal of VS College of Pharmacy. He is our trustee, senior most trustee, Shri B.L. Bulani ji, the founder trustee for VS College of Pharmacy.
Good afternoon.
Greetings. Thank you very much for
Everyone.
having us.
Good afternoon.
Yes. Sorry.
Madam, can I start?
Yes.
Yes. Good afternoon once again, all participants and Mr. Dr. Steven, Dr. Sanja, and everyone who are present over here. I'm Dr. Reshma Tendulkar from Assistant Professor Pharmaceutical Chemistry Department of VS College of Pharmacy. I'm taking this opportunity first to introduce our principal madam, Dr. Supriya Shide madam. She is a lady of impeccable dedication and commitment and an epitome of success to our faculty and students. Her guidance and never say lost spirit is surely admirable. She has 28 years of academic and research experience. She's currently working as a principal from July 2009 from past 13 years. She has published 52 papers and 4 patents, presented more than 58 papers in various national and international journals. Overall, a grant of rupees 1,26,000 plus 43,000 US dollar plus 5,000 US dollar to her credit is also indicator of her dedication and involvement as a researcher. She has been a resource person at many national and international events. She is a peer reviewer for many journals. She has guided 36 students of MPharm and 3 students for PhD, and currently guiding 4 students for PhD. With her vast experience in research and academics, she has been honored with Best Paper Award, Best Teacher Award, Principal Award, Best Paper Award again, the Research Project of the Year Award, Gold Medal at Avishkar, etc. at different occasions hosted by various agencies. More we say about her still will be less. Above all, she is a hardcore teacher having passion for the teaching profession. I would now kindly request her to address the audience. Over to you, madam. Madam, you are muted.
Thanks a lot for your kind words for me. But before I speak, I would request our trustee, Shri B.L. Bulani sir, to talk about, in few words, let him mention about what was there in his mind when he started the project of over. This is a webinar on molecular modeling importance in research, and we have delivered you something about BS College of Pharmacy and how did you
Pharmaceutical is a basically a science college. And this place wanted to start a medical college, but we did not. We thought the next the medical college is the subject of pharmacy. And that we should have a college which should be really producing education. with ideas and their knowledge that they acquired, they should of you if there's any solve it. We have brought industry very dear to us. The pharma industry is very addictive to students and out of that is why it has become very, very good. And like to have association yes universities who are engaged in at the same time, we would like to see if we too, university and our college can do research work together. Our research work is also recently we got should develop the contact such universities who can look for the same item and offer them jointly. So, thank you. This is what I have to say.
So, I request all the audience to kind of mute themselves. Deshma madam, would you please mute your speaker? Thank you. I would just take his words forward, and I would like to add something more to this introduction to VS College of Pharmacy. This college was started in 2007, and right now we are running programs for B Pharm, M Pharm, and PhD yes disciplines, and our programs are affiliated to University of Mumbai, and we have got some national level honors with us at the moment. There is a national level accreditation forum, National Assessment and Accreditation Committee. And this is supposed to be a very prestigious kind of audit. And very recently, we have received in our first cycle, which is supposed to be one of the highest for the colleges who have gone for it for the first time. As Shri Bulani sir mentioned, we are also very much active when it comes to our connections with the industry. We have a collaborative research center with US company Procter and Gamble in our own campus. And because of our other MOUs with the industries, there is a national level survey conducted by All India Council for Technical Education along with Confederation of Indian Industries, and they have ranked us among top 3 positions. That is, in 2021 we were ranked 2018 we were ranked first, and in 2021 we have been ranked third position pan India for our industry connects. Apart from that, our team is very actively involved in presenting publications in the research conventions. One of the important research conventions conducted in the universities across the Maharashtra, it's called as Avishkar. So in the Avishkar 21, our college has got the championship trophy for the best participation and maximum awards that were won by the college, our faculty members and their students put together. And as sir mentioned, very recently, we have got 2 patents granted, of which the second patent was granted very recently, just 1 week back. So this journey is ongoing, and we really want to remain very active when it comes to our research and innovation ecosystem. And we would like to not only promote the research, but we would also like to promote the mindset of entrepreneurs among our students. And we would like to get in touch with universities like yours, who can be mentor for our students for their research, and who can also help in converting their ideas into good startup through your mentorship. So I'm very happy that we also have an incubation center in our VES, which is a standalone 7-story building. And I'm very happy that we are into a collaboration with your university AIDASCO board, and we welcome you for this particular session. And this is one of the initiatives to spread the knowledge and science across all students of university, then states and nation. And we are looking forward to you, Dr. Stevan, to hear from you about molecular modeling and its importance in research in drug discovery. Thank you so much.
Thank you, madam. Thank you, madam. Now I would like to request our HOD, head of the department, Dr. Mushtaq Sheikh sir, to just brief about our department and research connectivity.
Yeah, very good afternoon to everybody. This is Dr. Mushtaq Sheikh, and I'm really fortunate to have been present for this event. This is our Research Connect Series 5th event this year, and this activity we had started with the intention of giving background of research to the aspirants of research. We also premeditated that to help the candidates selecting. This is the right time over here in India. The students are now going for admission to their research, also postgraduate programs, and we were properly targeting them only so that they can get a real feedback from the teachers like us and industry people, that what field they should choose, what attitude they should have while choosing the right field for their career. So this is our second year of activity, and till date we have actually coordinated 3 seminars and 2 offline workshops. I'm happy to share that we have been getting a tremendous response to our activities. I'm hopeful that the participants are getting really benefited and able to build a kind of aptitude for research. I welcome to this you all to first event of Department of Pharmaceutical Chemistry, which is in a kind of international board. And we are privileged to have Dr. Stevan and his entire team at this platform. I'd like to share with the participants that VS College of Pharmacy and AIDASCO, as many were mentioning, Novi Sad, Serbia, we have already joined hand and entered in a memorandum of understanding. And I firmly believe that we'll be coming up more often with this kind of activities, which will be fruitful for the students. I welcome again Dr. Stevan and your team, and definitely looking forward for learning all new things and development in the field of molecular modeling. Thank you very much, Madam. Over to you.
Now I would like to welcome our eminent guest, Dr. Stevan Armakovic, who is going to share his research knowledge he has gained through his years of experience. He is the board president of Association for the International Development of Academic and Scientific Collaboration, that is AIDASCO. He currently works as an assistant professor at University of Novi Sad, Faculty of Sciences, Department of Physics in Serbia. He has a total of 132 publications published till date. He also has 365 verified pre-publication reviews to his research portfolio.
His immense research potential has led to more than 6,000 citations to his name. He has also been an integral part of various research projects and grants. He is also the co-founder and developer of an online software, Atomistica, which provides free online tools for carrying out numerous molecular modeling tasks. Dr. Armakovic has such an enriching research experience throughout his career. I hope he would share some of his research tips for our students. VESCOP is truly obliged having you here with us, sir, squeezing us in your busy schedule and sharing your valuable information with us. It is truly an honor to have you here with us, sir. Now, over to you, Dr. Stevan.
Thank you very much. Can you please just confirm that you can hear me?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. You're audible.
Great, great. So thank you very much for these kind words. And I would also like to thank you for this really inspiring introduction about your reputed institution. We were very pleased to read the news about the accreditation that you have successfully gone. And we were also very pleased to read about your institution and to realize that you invest a lot into the education of your students. So it is obvious that you provide really, really good chances for your students to be competitive on the market. And your connections with the industry also prove that, because learning a theory is one thing, and providing opportunities for your students is completely different thing. And we salute you for that. So thank you very much for having us. We were also very pleased to hear that you are engaged into the pharmaceutical chemistry, because that is an area which we are covering also from our own aspects. And we believe that molecular modeling can be very fruitful for your research. And I'm very, very pleased for this opportunity to share our insights into this vibrant research area. I will share now my screen. Please just confirm me that you can see my presentation.
Yes, sir, we can see.
Great, great. So once again, it is my pleasure to participate in today's event. And this is the first joint event organized as a result of collaboration between VESCOP and AIDASCO. And I would really like to use this opportunity to sincerely thank Professor Dr. Reshma Tendulkar for initiating and organizing today's event. And I would also like to thank other colleagues from VESCOP for supporting the collaboration with AIDASCO. So today's lecture is focused to the molecular modeling and the importance of this type of research in pharmaceutical sciences. As you have already mentioned, we have signed a memorandum of understanding on April 4th, and we all agree that we have common goals and tasks, and we believe that our research collaboration and collaboration in various academic areas is going to be fruitful. So thank you very much for having us and for organizing this event. So this is the short outline of today's presentation. First, I will say what is molecular modeling, and I will explain why do we need molecular modeling. Then I will introduce the basic workflow in molecular modeling, and then I will mention what are the computational methods of molecular modeling. We will be talking just a little bit about quantum mechanics, molecular docking, molecular dynamics, and drug likeness. And then we will talk a little bit about tools for molecular modeling. We will mention what are the best tools for molecular visualization, which tools can be used for generating input files. We will mention some codes, and we will present some examples. So before I formally begin, I would like to ask students to engage in discussion after this presentation, after this lecture. Feel free to ask whatever question you want to ask. there are no formal timeframes for the discussion session after this presentation, and we would really like to engage in discussion with you. So the first part, what is molecular modeling? So molecular modeling is about predicting. So we all know how important it is to have the power to predict things, and for example, people worldwide try to develop methods to predict our financial future. So we had currently we have this very interesting situation with the Euribor rates, and it would be great if we were able somehow to predict the jump in the Euribor rates, and then we would know whether we should take our bank credit loans or not. So it is very important to be able to predict things, and it is impossible to not mention right now the World Cup and the betting agencies are investing a lot of things and a lot of resources to be able to predict who is going to win this championship. So predicting things is very important, and that is what molecular modeling is about. It is in molecular modeling, we try to develop some model and then to analyze and predict and to obtain some information that we currently don't have. So let's say that I have a two-dimensional structure of some molecule, and because your institution is a pharmaceutical college, and we are going to deal with pharmaceutical molecules. So here I'm presenting an example of 2D structure of metoprolol, which is a known active substance present in many brand names. And so what if we can take just two-dimensional structure of that molecule, and what if we can analyze and predict various properties of that molecule, of that compound? So in other words, I'm starting from just structure, I'm performing some calculations, and then I'm receiving some concrete results that can help me to predict how my compound is going to behave in realistic conditions. So in molecular modeling, we have an input. That input is just a structure of our molecule, just a model. We perform calculations on that structure, and then we receive an output, and that output are our predictions about the properties of that compound. So we can say that molecular modeling is a branch of science where different properties are predicted just by knowing the structure of that molecule, or just by knowing the structure of that material. So in general, we can also deal with periodic structures, but because we are now focused on pharmaceutical compounds, we will deal with molecules in this lecture only. So why do we need molecular modeling? Well, we need molecular modeling because chemical space is vast. Nowadays, we can synthesize thousands, if not millions, of molecules, but we cannot experimentally investigate each and every synthesized compound. That is our challenge, because experimental investigation requires resources, requires time, and we cannot investigate and characterize in detail each and every compound we synthesize. So we are starting with a vast number of molecules, and we want somehow to narrow that, to narrow the number of molecules for further analysis, and we need some computational methods to reduce the number of molecules that we are actually going to investigate in detail. So we're starting with really huge number of molecules, and we end up with selected candidates that are going to be subjected to further analysis. And that is what pharmaceutical companies are doing all the time. They have to apply molecular modeling methods in order to receive the best candidates for their future research. So let's see, where is the place of molecular modeling in drug development process? This is something that is really very known to your students, I believe. This is the drug development process. This drug development process can be, for example, downloaded from the agency from the US Food and Drug Administration agency, the so-called FDA. This is the agency that is responsible for placing pharmaceutical products into the market in the United States. And these are the 5 main steps in the drug development process. So first we have discovery and development of active substances. Then we have preclinical research. Then we have clinical research. Then the FDA reviewers analyze the obtained results, and then they make decision whether that drug is going to be placed on the market or not. And then we have post-market safety monitoring. So where is the role of molecular modeling? Well, precisely in this first step, in the drug design and the synthesis and characterization. This is the part that cannot be performed efficiently without application of molecular modeling. So in these modern days, we cannot start our drug development process if we don't know how to perform various molecular modeling techniques. So we can say that it has a fundamental role. So where is the place of molecular modeling when we are talking about the size of the systems that we can investigate? So here is the molecular modeling. With molecular modeling, we are dealing with electronic scale and atomistic scale of materials. We apply quantum mechanical methods or molecular dynamics methods, and we can investigate processes that are lasting from femtoseconds to microseconds applying molecular modeling techniques. Other sizes of systems must be treated with other levels of theory, with non-molecular modeling levels of theory. So this is, in short, what is the role of molecular modeling and where it is located. So what is the basic workflow in molecular modeling? Before we start with some practical examples, I would like to emphasize the fact that practicing molecular modeling is not hard at all. Of course, you have to know the fundamental elements of molecular modeling, but in reality, practicing molecular modeling is really logical. So you have some input, and you have some modeling code, and you have to provide that input to the code, and the code will do the hardest job for you, and then the code will produce the output. So in reality, input file is just a simple text file that contains instructions what your code should do with that input, and then the code does the hardest part and you receive the output, which is also a simple text file, simple, quotation simple. And then you can subject this output file to post-processing tools and receive concrete results. For example, you can have the output file actually contains predictions about your compound. So let us see what are the methods of molecular modeling. Obviously, if we want to do something with this, with our input, we have to apply some kind of theory. And what types of theories are applied in molecular modeling? Well, we can, since I'm a physicist, I like to start with quantum mechanics. So quantum mechanics is one of the methods that are applied in molecular modeling. Then we have molecular dynamics, we have also molecular docking, and we have drug likeness. These are just some fundamental methods of molecular modeling when we speak about pharmaceutical sciences. Of course, there are some other methods, but these are most frequently applied. And I placed these methods in this order, but it doesn't mean that that you will apply molecular modeling in this order. It also doesn't have to mean that you will apply all of these methods. For example, various research groups all over the world apply only one of these methods in their research when it comes to the development of new drugs. So it really depends on what you want to achieve when we speak about which method is going to be applied. Within our research group, we are applying practically all of these methods. successfully. And and now I will mention what are some examples of results that you can receive by applying these methods. So let me start first with quantum mechanical methods. So what can be studied with quantum mechanical methods with reference to pharmaceutical sciences? Well, first and foremost, we can predict the structure of our molecule. And when I say we can predict structure, I mean on the three-dimensional structure. Remember that we are starting with 2D structure, and after we apply quantum mechanical calculations, we can obtain the lowest energy conformer. We can actually obtain the 3D structure in which our molecule resides most of the time. So this is very important for the structural characterization. Uh, uh, Besides structural properties, we can obtain information about the charge distribution within our molecule. This is extremely important if we want to know the reactivity of our molecule. So in this example over here, I have a MAP surface, MIP surface, MEP surface, the so-called molecular electrostatic potential surface. And the blue and red parts of this surface indicate the molecular sites with extreme values of molecular electrostatic potential. In other words, these blue and red parts of the molecule are the most reactive parts of this molecule, and this helps me to understand in overall the chemical reactions that my molecule is going to be involved in. We can also obtain information about the frontier molecular orbitals. This is also very important for the both general and local reactivity of our molecule. In terms of pharmaceutical sciences, it is also important to understand the light absorption by our molecule, because this is very important for the shelf life of our molecule. Another extremely important property that can be predicted with computational methods, applying quantum mechanical methods, is the sensitivity towards the auto-oxidation mechanism. So we all know that active components of pharmaceutical products can be highly unstable, and that genotoxic impurities can be formed. And precisely this calculation helps us to identify if our molecule is having some weak spots in terms of auto-oxidation. And here I have presented a molecule, one of the molecules that we have investigated lately, and we can see here that this value is equal to 85, almost 86 kilocalories per mole. This indicates that this molecule might have problems with auto-oxidation here on this OH group. And of course, what is really interesting to me as a physicist is the drug carriers. So for example, I can investigate how pharmaceutical molecules interact with nanostructures, and I have the ability then to seek for the best drug carriers of pharmaceutical components. This is one of the papers that we have recently published, where we have investigated binding energies between graphene and molecules that are used as local anesthesia in dental practice. So these are just some examples what can be studied with quantum mechanical methods with reference to the pharmaceutical sciences. Of course, later I can explain in more details, and during our future collaboration, we are going to teach students how to obtain these properties. So what are the pros and cons of quantum mechanical methods? Well, the positive side of application of quantum mechanical methods is that they have very high accuracy. They are if you want to obtain accurate information about the reactivity of your molecule, then you will apply quantum mechanical methods. There is a variety of quantum mechanical methods developed so far. You have semi-empirical, DFT, post-Hartree-Fock methods. These are all methods that can cope with different aspects of molecular reactivity, and you can investigate in general the global and local reactivity with quantum mechanical methods. You can also predict spectroscopic properties of your molecules, reactions, and there are a variety of molecular modeling packages that can be used to perform quantum mechanical calculations on your molecules. What is the negative side? Well, these methods are computationally most expensive. They cannot be applied to large molecules. So in reality, it is really, you need really strong computational resources to apply quantum mechanical methods on molecules that are containing, for example, more than 100 atoms. You can, of course, apply some of the semi-empiric methods, which we will be talking later about that, to large molecules, but the so-called density functional theory approach is really computationally expensive to be applied on large molecules. And of course, that is the reason why these methods cannot be applied for proteins. So you can forget about investigating interactions between ligands and proteins by applying quantum mechanical methods. But luckily, we have other levels of theory, other methods that we will be talking very soon. So let's talk about molecular mechanics and molecular dynamics. In the previous section, I was talking about quantum mechanical methods, and in that picture, we observe molecule as a quantum mechanical object. But in molecular mechanics, atoms in molecules are observed as balls connected with springs. So from quantum mechanical picture of a molecule, we are going to mechanistic picture of molecule, and this helps us to deal with mathematically not very complicated equations. So this is the general form of equation for the potential energy of a molecule. And we can see that this equation has several terms. Each of these terms has its own form, and you will observe that we have these constants here, and these constants have values, such values to reproduce the experimental results. So it is challenging to obtain information about these constants, and we have to, for those purposes, we have to perform something that is called parametrization. And in other words, we have to teach these equations how to take these values, how to take proper values of these parameters. And we can do that either by comparing with experiments or either by applying higher order quantum mechanical calculations in order to obtain accurate results. So comparing with quantum mechanical methods, the molecular mechanics is fast. It is orders of magnitudes faster than quantum mechanical methods, but the accuracy of molecular mechanics depends on the parametrization. So we can, what that means is that we have one equation for potential energy for pharmaceutical molecules. We have different equation for the total energy of our system for some, for example, inorganic molecules, etc., etc. And that is the reason why we have so many different equations for calculating the total energy of our mechanical system, mechanistic system. And we call this equation we call force field, and that is the reason why we have so many different force fields. But what is good about molecular mechanics is that once we have this equation, we can perform molecular dynamics simulations. What that means is that time is divided into discrete steps, and for each that time step, we apply the Newton equation of motion for each and every particle in our system. So this is something that is known from general courses of physics. And for each time interval, we get the information about the forces that are acting on each and every atom. And in the next step, atoms are slightly moved. And after the molecular dynamics simulation, we actually receive information about the movement of each particle. And we call that type of information we call trajectory. Once we obtain the trajectory, we can analyze the motion of atoms, and then we can observe some, we can see how our molecules are interacting with other molecules. So another, to repeat once again, that speed of calculation with applying force field molecular dynamics is really fast, and you can treat really large systems such as proteins interacting with ligands, applying molecular dynamics, and that means that we can investigate processes that are lasting even to nanoseconds. Of course, there is that downside that the accuracy depends on parameterization. So the previous slide is some fundamental setup of the molecular dynamics, but what our students interested in is what do I actually can receive by applying molecular dynamics simulation. So here is one example of molecular dynamics system. Here, one organic molecule is interacting with 5-fluorouracil, which is a known cytostatic pharmaceutical, and that system is surrounded by water molecules. So in quantum mechanical calculations, we would be having only one or two of these molecules. And in molecular dynamics system, here we are observing an example that contains nearly 3,000 atoms. 3,000 atoms. And that is a huge difference when we are talking about the size of the system. So because you are interested in pharmaceutical chemistry, the most likely is that you are going to be interested in performing molecular dynamic simulations where you have some kind of protein interacting with ligand. Here are some examples. What we have done in our research. We have been investigating fullerenol, which is a derivative of fullerene. It has OH groups around it, and the problem with practical applications of fullerene is that it has really poor solubility in water. But when the fullerene is decorated with OH groups, its interactions with water enlarge extremely, and we have proven that in this paper published in Physical Chemistry, Chemical Physics journal. So this is some nice example how molecular dynamics can be used for practical applications. Another practical application of molecular dynamics is, for example, the identification of excipients. This might be very interesting for your students because we know that beside active components, pharmaceutical products also contain excipients, and these excipients are substances that improve, for example, stabilization, solubility, deliverability of active component, etc., etc. And each and every active component has its own excipient, and it can be quite challenging to decide which excipient to use for some active component. And of course, we can perform blind experiments, try with different excipients, but that is not practical. That would take a lot of time. But fortunately, this challenge can be coped with by applying molecular dynamics. So it has been established that active components and excipients have similar values of solubility parameter. Solubility parameter can be calculated using molecular dynamic simulations according to this equation. I'm not going to give details about this equation as that is not so important right now. What is important here is this example over here. We have calculated this solubility parameter for one of the molecules that we have studied for our colleagues precisely from India. And this molecular dynamic system consisted of 32 molecules. And this system was used for calculating the solubility parameter. And then the next task is to compare solubility parameter of that new molecule with solubility parameter of substances that are known to be good excipients. And PVP is one of the standard polymer excipients, and we can see that our molecule, our newly developed molecule, has solubility parameter very, very similar to that of PVP. So we can conclude that the best excipient for our new molecule is PVP. And then the next step is to try experiments by mixing our new molecule and the PVP excipient. Of course, these results clearly indicate that maltose and sorbitol shouldn't be considered as excipients for this molecule. So this is one nice example how molecular dynamic simulations can be performed in order to identify the best excipient for our active component. And this is something that we regularly calculate on molecules that we receive from our colleagues all over the world. Another great approach for studying interactions between proteins and ligands is the molecular docking technique. This technique is being applied all over the world by so many research groups, and for this method is also based on the molecular mechanics. We have the crystal structure of protein, and within that crystal structure of protein, we define the binding site, or we can consider the whole protein, which is called the blind docking, and then we instruct the molecular docking code to try different conformations of our ligand within that binding site, and then the scoring function decides which is the best binding pose of that ligand to that protein. So these are some practical examples. Once we have the information what is the best docking pose of our ligand, we can enlarge that structure, and then we can subject that system to further calculations, and we can obtain information about the hydrogen bonds that are formed in that place. And it is really, we can also, of course, identify which parts of that molecule, which parts of that protein are interacting with our ligand. And this is extremely powerful to make initial assessments whether our molecule is going to bind to protein or not. And when we are talking about molecular docking, we cannot skip the COVID-19 situation. We are all aware of the consequences of this disease. And when the COVID-19 outbreak happened, what scientists all over the world first did was to perform dozens of molecular docking calculations. So the first step was to identify the protein that is responsible for COVID-19, for spreading of the COVID-19. And once the COVID-19 protein, I call that COVID-19 protein, that is not the right term, but when the responsible protein was isolated, and when crystallographers have solved the structure of that protein, then the molecular docking calculations became available, and scientists all over the world tried with different ligands and checked which ligand binds to these proteins, to this protein with the highest values of scoring function. And this crystal structure of the COVID-19 main protease in complex with an inhibitor is freely available on this website here. What is great about molecular docking is that we have millions, actually hundreds of thousands of structures of different proteins, and nothing can stop us to try to see if we are developing new molecules, how our newly developed molecule bind to that protein. So each and every protein in this database has this four-letter code, and it is enough just to type this into the search bar on the website of RCSB, and you will receive this structure, and then you can perform molecular docking. Another important method in the development of new drug is the so-called application of drug likeness parameters. So what scientists did, actually, they analyzed the values of, they analyzed the selected values of some quantities for thousands of molecules, and they realized that good pharmaceutical molecules are having certain values of certain quantities in certain ranges, and these quantities are called the drug likeness parameters. So the good drug likeness parameters are log P, number of rotable bonds, number of acceptor and donors of hydrogen bonds, mass, polar surface, etc., etc. So this is one. So when you are developing a new pharmaceutical molecule, you simply calculate these values and check if they have values. You calculate the quantities of these values and check if these quantities have values that are within these ranges, and this has been firstly done this has been first done by Karl Lipinski while he was working for Pfizer. So it is popularly called Lipinski's rule of 5 or the Pfizer's rule of 5. So if your molecule, if your newly developed pharmaceutical molecule has log P less than 5, number of donors of H bond and number of acceptors of H bond respectively less than 5 or 10, or and if it has molecular mass less than 500 daltons, this molecular effectivity, and polar surface less than 140 squared angstroms, then it is highly possible that it would have good absorption, distribution, metabolism, and excretion properties. Unfortunately, what drug likeness does not provide is the information whether this newly developed molecule is having a desired biological activity or not. But that is something that for that we need to perform experiments. So what are the tools for molecular modeling? We have been in previous slides we have presented what are the most frequently used methods when developing new drugs, but what are the tools for molecular modeling? Well, scientific community is really rich because we have so many tools available for molecular modeling. And all of these tools in this slide are completely free for academic use. Some are even open source, so you can use it even for your commercial activities, but all of these tools are free to be downloaded and used for academic purposes. So we can divide tools for molecular modeling in three large categories, three large groups. For example, in the first group, we have tools to perform visualization, input generation, and post-processing. And all of these tools are great tools, and probably the best known is Avogadro, the famous software for molecular visualization, and it also has tools for generating input files for various modeling packages. So when it comes to calculations, these are the best known freely available tools for performing calculations on molecules. We have ORCA, Psi4, GAMS, NYChem, multi-WFN, XTB and STD, MOPEC, and AutoDocVina. AutoDocVina is best known tool for molecular docking. These tools are very important because with these tools you can perform semi-empirical calculations, and semi-empirical calculations are simplified quantum mechanical calculations that allow you to apply quantum mechanical calculations on large systems, and that is what Atomistica has been using, precisely the XTB. And probably the best known and most powerful molecular modeling package is Orca. Psi4 is also extremely powerful. And then we have databases. So here on this, in this first source, you will find the crystal structures of proteins, and thanks to this database, you can perform molecular docking. ChemSpider, PubChem, Zinc, DrugBank, those are all databases that contain molecular structures of various pharmaceutical molecules. Materials project contains crystal structures of periodic structure. Materials project contains information about the structures of nanomaterials. This is also one great source for finding 3D structures of molecules. So when it comes to molecular modeling, very frequent question is how expensive is to apply molecular modeling? Well, fortunately, we have free tools, and these free tools are regularly used in scientific research. You will find thousands of research papers in strong journals with high values of impact factors where these free tools are applied. Now I want to mention one thing, and that is that here I have mentioned the free tools, but you have also a range of commercial codes. And don't get me wrong, I'm not against commercial codes. In fact, I am using a lot of commercial modeling packages. And if you want to have the efficiency, the fantastic graphical user interfaces, and you will definitely at one point in time purchase some commercial code that will help you to improve your results. But all of this, practically everything, can be performed with free tools as well. These are the logos of some of the tools that I have been mentioning on the previous slide. So now I will say something about the Atomistica Online, which has become practically a molecular modeling platform lately. So initially, we wanted to make just an online input generator for Orca program. When I mentioned all of these tools, if you want to perform calculation, as I mentioned in one of the slides, if you want to perform calculations with these tools, you have to generate input files, and you can use some of these tools to make input files. But what was very interesting is that there is no online input generator for these tools, and that was very important moment for us, because Sanya and I decided to make an online input generator for Orca program, because Orca modeling package is free for academic use and very frequently used. And we wanted to make a tool that will help teachers to teach molecular modeling, or that will help beginners in this field, because with Atomistica Online, it is very easy to generate Orca input file and then to subject that to Orca calculations. And we developed initially Atomistica Online using Python and the Anvil platform, and we didn't have great expectations at all. We just tried what is going to happen, because we wanted to, if nothing happened, we will at least have some tool for our own teaching purposes. But after some time, we realized that we made a good application and that everything is working properly. So we decided to make a paper about that effort, and we offered that paper. We submitted that manuscript to the Molecular Simulation Journal, which is a nice journal with decent impact factor, and the paper was accepted for publication. So we are really happy for that, because that helps promoting this effort in general. And then we decided to make a separate website called Atomistica Online, where we are going to host this application. So if you go to Atomistica Online, you will see the main Atomistica Online application, and you will see the online XTB calculator. So currently, Atomistic Online has these tools, and we decided to place the XTB calculator on a separate application because that is easier to maintain. So if you click on Atomistic Online, this is the application that this is going to open in your web browser. So on the left you will see, on the left you can see the tools that are currently available within Atomistic Online, plus the XTB Online calculator, which is placed on a separate application. So what is very interesting in Atomistic Online is this. What is interesting for the students of pharmaceutical colleges is the ADME calculator. This tool can calculate the drug likeness parameters for your newly developed molecule. So this is how it works. You only have to provide the structure of your molecule in the .mol format, or you can provide your SMILES sequence. On some other occasion, I will explain what the mol formats and SMILES sequence are. But when you do that, this is what you're going to get. So these are the reference values, and these are the values of, these are the drug likeness values. These are the values of drug likeness parameters for metoprolol. So remember that I started this presentation with metoprolol, which is a known active substance used in metoprolol is actually a very known beta blocker. And you can see that all of these values are within desired ranges for metoprolol. So you can go, students can go to the Atomistic Online and use the ADME calculator to calculate drug likeness parameters for some molecules that they are dealing currently. And below, you will also get the 2D structure of that molecule. So here I have uploaded a molecule that is not intended to be used as a pharmaceutical molecule at all. And you can see that this molecule has total polar surface area equal to 0, while it should be 40 to 130. So this molecule obviously violates this prerequisite for ADME properties. Please keep in mind that ADME, the drug likeness parameters, tell you nothing about biological activity of that molecule. So what we have been recently doing regarding Atomistic Online is that we added this online XTB calculator. And the online XTB calculator uses the XTB program developed by the group of Professor Stefan Grimme from the University of Bonn in Germany. And XTB program is a fantastic program for performing semi-empirical quantum mechanical calculations. This means that you can use this tool to practically communicate with XTB program and to geometrically optimize your molecule. And what is great about semi-empirical calculations is that they are extremely fast, especially the program of Professor Grimme. It is extremely fast, and you can obtain the accuracy that is close to that of the DFT. So density functional theory approach is practically a standard in quantum mechanical calculations. It is seen as the best tool in terms of cost accuracy ratio, but the semi-empirical approach offers orders of magnitude faster calculations. And the great thing about the online XTB calculator is that you can do everything from your web browser. So the first thing that you have to do is to upload your structure in XYZ or PDB formats, and then you select the task, select some of the tasks. So you can currently, with online XTB calculator, you can perform energy calculations, optimization, frequency calculations, or optimization and frequency calculations. But in reality, XTB program of Professor Grimme can do so many things our program, our interface for that program currently covers just a fraction of the possibilities of the XTB program, but we are working hardly to implement all possibilities of XTB program and to make available to users to practically use the whole XTB program online. So you can also define the charge, define the number of ampere electrons, etc., etc. So first task is to select the task. Second, you have to choose the method. These are several different methods that can be used for example, energy calculations. And I will be speaking about this on some other occasion. You can invoke advanced setup and request calculation of some other properties that are important for understanding the reactivity of molecule. And here I want to present you one example. So this is the Avogadro molecular visualization tool, and this is again the structure of metoprolol, carefully picked just for you because you are all students of pharmacy. So we can see that we have some how to say unphysical we can see that we have some unreasonably long bonds between some atoms, and this means that this molecule is not geometrically optimized. In other words, this means that this molecule is not in its ground state. And to obtain a molecule in its ground state, we have to perform geometrical optimizations. And geometrical optimizations on states that are far from equilibrium can take a lot of time if you're using, for example, density functional theory calculations. But with this XTB program developed by Professor Grimme and with our online application, you can do that in a matter of seconds. So this is the structure that I imported into the web application. I requested optimization plus frequencies calculations, and after literally a few seconds, the calculation was done, and I could download the output file or I could download the optimized geometry. So if I download the optimized geometry and load that into the Avogadro, I can see that these bond lengths are now reasonable and that my molecule now is in its ground state. And that is extremely important because here I had unreasonably high bond lengths, long bonds, meaning that my molecule is not in equilibrium state, and you cannot perform other calculations on your molecule if your molecule is not in equilibrium. So the first step is to geometrically optimize your molecule. And once we optimized it, we can see that these bond lengths are now reasonable and they are in agreement with experimentally known facts. Now, I can use this structure for density functional theory calculations, and I can use Orca input generator to define and to generate the input file. For example, this is how the input file for Orca looks on that metoprolol structure. And once I generate this input file, I can download that input file, and then I can locally run Orca to obtain output, the geometrically optimized structure of metoprolol, but by using the DFT instead of the XTB calculations. And this is an example of the workflow. This is an example how you can perform your own calculations using nothing but your web browser. Of course, I just want to mention that you can use your web browser and Atomistic Online to generate this input file, but to perform Orca calculations, you cannot do that online. You have to perform it locally. But that is something that we will be dealing with you on some other occasion. and after some time you can inspect the output file generated by org. So this is the last slide of this presentation. I would like, before we open the comments and question session, I would like to mention these links. It would mean a lot to us if you would go to these social networks and support AIDASCO and Atomistica online. And now it is my pleasure to open the comments and question sessions. I'm addressing students right now the most. Please feel free to ask questions, and that's it.
So, thank you, Dr. Steven. So it's really a wonderful session, I must say. Students and faculties, if you have any questions, you can ask directly or you can write down in the chat box. Anyone? I hope like anyone is having any doubts or questions, if you want to ask, you can ask. Yes.
Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon.
I'm Parsa Agarwala. I'm a student of SAL Institute of Pharmacy, and I'm doing PharmD third year right now. And if we take a project for, like, suppose cancer, and I want to identify or synthesize a new molecule for cancer. But right now, the existing drugs, for example, for breast cancer is tamoxifen citrate that's going in the market. So now it also have its certain limitations as well as its limitations. So now I want to alter the molecule and make it more efficient or more potent by its molecular docking. So what are the measures that I need to keep in my mind before doing all of it? Can you please guide me through it?
Of course, that is great question, and that is great example how molecular modeling can be applied. So, from one side, we have already some pharmaceutical products that are already available on the market, and of course, the next step is to alter them somehow and to we say that screen them against protein structures. And before anything, you should be aware that there are libraries, there are available fragment libraries. So you can define which functional group of that already available molecule can be replaced by that fragment from that fragment library. And then you will receive, of course, hundreds, if not thousands, of new molecules. And before you subject that to molecular docking, it is necessary somehow to evaluate if those structures are reasonable or not in terms of stability. And I think that it would be first the best to perform some kind of reactivity or of stability study, for example, to investigate the homo-lumo gap of those structures and to identify the most stable ones. Once you identify the most stable ones, then you can proceed with molecular docking. But in reality, it depends also on the computational resources that you have available. So it might be possible that some research groups do not perform that task because they have strong computers and workstations, and they just want to see first through molecular docking what might be the best candidates, and they would later deal with their synthesis and stability. So thank you very much for asking that. And if you are interested, of course, if any student is interested in working with us, feel free to contact us, and then we can help you to perform all the calculations that we know how to perform. We will teach you how to do them also. I also want to mention one thing, that fragment libraries are available, and there are free tools for manipulating with the structures, but commercial packages have supreme tools for this type of for these tasks, because they are after all commercial for that reason, because they have really nice solution how to easily, in just a few steps, obtain so many different derivatives of that molecule with just a few clicks.
Sir, how is molecular modeling come? How does molecular modeling come along with high throughput screening? How can we get the benefit of both of them together?
Well, molecular modeling is practically applied for high through output screening, and when the COVID-19 is the best example for that, because as soon as the outbreak happened, what pharmaceutical companies did immediately, they tried to use the high through output screening to perform something that is called drug repurposing. So they immediately took all the libraries that they have, libraries containing structures of various molecules that are already being used for some treatments, and they have checked those structures against the protein that is responsible for the spreading of COVID-19. So we can say that high throughput screening and molecular modeling help us to optimize our quest for new drugs, and molecular modeling and high throughput screening are just what happened when the COVID-19 outbreak happened. So it would be really interesting to check the number of published papers in the last 2 years, that is the number of papers that are involving molecular modeling. And I can bet that the molecular modeling is present now more than ever, just because, unfortunately, because of the COVID-19.
Yes, so there is one question from Gaurav Patel. He's saying he's working on graphene oxide-based drug delivery and want to know that will be the best fit method of molecular modeling for graphene oxide, as it seems to be bulk molecule. Yes, sir.
Yes, thank you very much for that question. That is what I'm interested most. As a physicist, I would like to design materials that are suitable for target drug delivery. And with graphene and pharmaceutical molecules, the situation is very interesting, because you can perform practically all of the mentioned methods. So you can perform quantum mechanical calculations to obtain accurate information about the binding. So that is one thing. And then you can apply, for example, molecular dynamic simulations to investigate the influence of temperature. So it is quite possible that drug release is different at different temperatures, and you can cope with that by applying molecular dynamic simulations. So that is very vibrant area, because you can perform, you can take the best from both worlds. Graphene is as a representative of 2D structures. Graphene is very popular now, but there are some other structures, 2D structures, 2D nanostructures, that are also becoming increasingly popular, and those are MXenes. So I am also suggesting you to check about that topic as well. But when it comes to this question particularly, I would recommend first to calculate binding energies using quantum mechanical calculations, and then to proceed with molecular dynamic simulations. What is great about graphene is that you do not have to perform periodic DFT structures, for example, because you can model the graphene surface as one large molecule that is also very, very present in published research papers.
Students, any other questions? Okay. So this is really a wonderful session, I must say. Now I would like to request Dr. Mushtaq sir to say a vote of thanks.
Thank you very much, Dr. Reshma, for giving me this opportunity to present vote of thanks. So, first and foremost, I would like to thank the management of VS College of Pharmacy and our beloved principal madam and trustee in charge, sir, for wholeheartedly supporting us. And this is their effort that we have gone to one level up and now collaborating with organization like AIDASCO at the international level. I would like to thank AIDASCO for coming forward and collaborating with us and doing this such nice of activities, which can be really helpful for the students and research aspirants. The organizing team of both the institute, Dr. Reshma Tendulkar and her team, and Dr. Stevan and AIDASCO's team at Serbia, both are really appreciable for doing this job. And we could see almost 200 plus reception from our end. I am not aware of what about at the other side, but I'm very hopeful and I know that could be getting good response there also. Dr. Steven, thank you that you introduced the audience about the molecular modeling, its principle, methods, and telling us that they are not difficult to learn and as well as to apply. You also highlighted that utility of quantum chemistry method, molecular mechanics method, molecular dynamic method, even similarity search. And it is even then that not only the methods are applicable to drug discovery or drug molecule, but they can even be used to identify better experience. Uh, Molecular modeling is a huge subject in itself, and it takes really great efforts to concise it the way Dr. Stephen you have done. Thank you for sharing your knowledge and the resources which will be really helpful for the researchers as well as responding to the queries of participants. Lastly, I would like to thank the participants for overwhelming response again and making it to appear in the webinar. May the webinar helps you for the future endeavors, and this video will be of course available on the VESCOP's YouTube channel for your future reference. I'd like to share the link for the feedback. Please do give your good feedback so that we can improve in future for the activities. Thank you very much for joining with us. That's all from my side. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for the kind words. I would like to invite students who are having questions to feel free to contact us and to ask whatever they want to ask. This was just part of the research activities that we are performing. From the experimental side, we are interested in the stability of these pharmaceutical molecules, and we are interested in application of nanomaterials for their degradation and removal from water resources, which is very important for the environmental protection. And feel free to ask questions. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Steven. And we are looking forward in arranging such a beautiful sessions ahead. And we would like to learn many things from you in future as well. Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot, Dr. Steven and your team. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much. Bye, everybody.
Bye-bye. Bye, sir.
Bye.